What is going on, everyone? This is Ryan with Automatic Comics. We have got an interesting video here today, kind of a unique situation because it isn't really something where I have a definitive answer about what's going on here, but I'm treating this more like a request for information from the comic book community to see if anybody else has experienced this, to get an idea if this is something new that's going on, if it's something that people have experienced in the past, because to me, I haven't seen this before. And I mean, I've been pretty heavily back in comics for like 7 years or so. And I feel like I try to keep myself up to date on anything that's going on in the comic community. And I haven't seen this. And so I'm, if you have, once we get into this, if you have, feel free to make comments in the chat. If you want to message me on Instagram, my email's in the details section for the video and all of that. Like if you want to send me an email about that, I'd love to hear about it, because part of the problem here is that we don't have the CGC forums anymore to have these types of conversations. CGC forums still exist, but they're moderated in a way that these types of topics don't get on there. Even though I think that this is the type of thing that they should want to see so that they can try to head it off if it's an issue, or they can actually control the conversation some. But instead, we're having that conversation here. So what we are talking about, this person's post right here. And if it was just this post, I'll tell you it wouldn't have been enough, but it's because I've seen other things too. So they said, I just got about 20 slabs back from 9/8 pre-screening, about 7 $400 books, 3 $800 books, and like 10 other $150 to $200 books. The plastic was warped, bubbled, and domed up. The books looked like a wet ball had been sat right in the middle of them during denting and wrinkling them up. I wish I had pictures, but holy freaking heck, I already sent them back to CGC as damaged. Who thinks they'll actually pay up? Now, the reason I said I wouldn't have even talked about this was that he doesn't have pictures, right? And like without pictures, you never know what this could be. This could be somebody that hates graded comics. It could be somebody that's a CBCS fan, a PSA fan, whatever, and they're trying to like crap on CGC or something. But because of some photos that I just saw yesterday, courtesy of Manu, the 99 newsstand, this post became a little more concerning. And now I will say, like, if you post this kind of stuff, like, you got to take pictures, like, especially you're on the CGC Comics fans page, people are not going to believe you. Right. And so, and I thought one of the comments from the admin, Bill Swissler here, says, too bad we all don't have cameras in our pockets. Yeah. Like, cameras are so readily available, like, take some pictures and, but I get it. Like, they were probably upset when they saw it happen. They sent them right back. They didn't even think about it and then decided to post this. But yeah, it really, it helps with credibility with the story. Now, the reason why I took this so much more seriously was, like I said, those photos from Manu, or the 99 newsstand. And that was this post right here from Comic Book Group. And you can see this is a different person posting. It's not the same person. And obviously you'd think they would have shown these photos if it was the same person. So it says, just got back from CGC 2 weeks ago, and looked through my books again and noticed really bad warping on this comic. Any suggestions? And this person says, looks like they vacuum sealed them. And yeah, it's like, you can tell, like, from the distance here, and we've got some closer pictures as well, that you can tell it looks pretty bad. But let's go through the closer pictures. You can see this book looks like it's ruined. I mean, maybe you can press it back, but it looks like there's probably some pretty reasonable creases and things up here. It's like, maybe it can't get above a 9 or an 8 anymore. And this was a 9/8 newsstand from one of these McFarlane Marvel Tales covers. I mean, they're not cheap books, and they're very desirable books. And so it's like, this book is just, it looks like it's ruined. And let's look at another picture. It's from an angle. You can see this like pretty severe warping to the book now. And here's the back cover. And like, this is when I saw this looks exactly like what that other poster described. Like a wet ball or something had been sat on the book. And it's just like the plastic, to me, it looks like the plastic basically melted. Like the plastic melted and just suctioned in, like maybe there was a vacuum or something and kind of like suctioned in on the book and has just maybe ruined it. And so that's why what I originally thought when I had heard of this was, I thought that these books probably sat in a hot FedEx truck or some shipping facility that didn't have air conditioning or something. I mean, we're in the middle of summer. We've got places, that like, I mean, where I am, it's been really hot. And, other places, if you're in like Arizona or something, you've got 100+ degree temperatures, and what can that do to these cases? But the thing is, like I said at the beginning, I feel like I pay pretty close attention to stuff that happens in, grading and comics and collecting and all of that. And I haven't seen this before. And so I'd like to know if other people have seen something to this extreme, if other people have seen this from a book being shipped or whatever, because my concern is it possible that CGC has changed something in their slabbing process? Who knows, within the last year? Maybe they did it in the winter. Something changed over in the winter, in the spring, or last fall, and it hasn't become an issue until now when we're in the middle of summer, and maybe something with, with the heat. And so is it possible that because of the whole CGC Swapgate stuff, that they've changed how they're sealing the books? Have they maybe changed the plastic? Has something there changed that has now made it so that they are susceptible, or more susceptible, to heat? Because we did have another post I'll show as well. There was this other post, and this was on Reddit, where somebody said they called it the CGC slab bow. And so you can see here that the cases aren't flush with one another. So if you're familiar with CGC cases, they have these little kind of like tabs on the bottom. They sit flush with each other so that they can stack and all of that. And you can see on the right-hand side here, they're showing that it looks like it's flush. And then when you go to the bottom here, the other side, it's bent up. And so when I saw that, I was like, it was probably in like a hot FedEx truck or something. Now, unfortunately, we can't see the top of it, so we don't really know, or the front. So if we don't know if it impacted the comic at all. But this person, I love this CGC. You're welcome. I love that. But then it says, this is caused by heat. I've had it happen a couple of slabs that sat in a FedEx truck all day. And so like something small like this, like maybe that can happen. But are we now seeing a more severe amount of damage to the book from whatever is going on here? And if you're wondering if this looked like this when it was at CGC, no, it did not. I mean, we can see the cert number here, so we're able to look up that cert number. And so if we jump over to the CGC's page, you can see we've got that same cert number. We've got that book 9.8, and when you zoom in on it, like, this book looks fine. This clearly is not all bent out of shape. And so something changed between when this book was scanned at CGC after it was graded and when that book got to, this person's house. Now, we don't know. I've heard that they said that it looked fine when they got it, and then when they checked 2 weeks later, it looked like this. That's something we don't know for sure, right? Like, it could be like maybe they just were putting books away and weren't paying close attention at first, or whatever, and then they checked it later and they saw this. Or maybe it did change over that time period. Maybe when they got it, they opened it right out of the FedEx truck or whatever, and it was hot, and then they put it away and it cooled off and it all kind of like compressed down. Like, I don't know. It's hard to know for sure. But this is why I'm kind of polling the comic book community out there to see if anybody else has experienced this, if they experienced it now, like more recently, or if they've seen it in the past. And I'd love to see pictures or whatever else. Now, I'm sure there's going to be comments where people, will say like, oh, this is why you don't slab, and they hate slabbing and blah, blah, blah. Like, that's not the point of this. Like, if you want to make those comments, go ahead. You're free to make those comments. They help the algorithm. But the point here is I'm trying to get an idea of if this is actually a new and or serious issue, or if it's some type of a freak occurrence where the books just sat in an extremely hot environment. But I mean, yeah, I've talked about this with some people before. This is the type of stuff that really, really scares me with high grade, high dollar books. Because like, if this was like a 2.0 or, a 3.0 or a 4.0 or something, like, you'd be annoyed, but it would probably retain the same grade. But this book being a 9.8, or like, what if this was a 9.9 or a 10 or even a 9.6, 9.4? Like, it's probably never going to get back to that grade. And if this was a book like, say, a Batman 251 or a Batman 227, or just, like whatever, like an X-Men 266, 99, or something like that, a book that's worth 10, 20, 30, $40,000 because it is that specific grade. And then this happens, you're out tens of thousands of dollars, like instantly. And that stuff really scares me with high grade books. Now, normally when I'm thinking about things like that, I'm thinking about what I refer to as case damage, where the book has shifted inside the case and it takes a little ding on the corner. But this is just a more like an extreme instance of something horrible happening to that book, and potentially to that case. But yeah, and that's all I really wanted to talk about here today. I want to make sure that this is at least out there, because I don't know if it's an actual issue yet, or if this is just, like I said, some freak occurrence where it was just exposed to an extreme level of heat. But let me know in the comments if you have had this happen. If you've had seen something extreme like this in the past with a CGC graded book. Like I said, I've got my Instagram is out there. You can reach out to me on Instagram if you've got photos. My email is in the descriptions for the video if you want to send me emails if you have anything like that. But hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, please hit that like button, subscribe button, notification bell, and I will see you on the next one.